Hi, Jean-Paul here, day 3 on my Hawaii photography adventure. At this first location, I'm at Rainbows Falls Park. And no, your gummy hasn't kicked in yet. That is not a waterfall, that's a banyan tree. In this short video, I'll take you through some tips and tricks that I believe that will help your waterfall photos and landscape photos. Photographing this gorgeous banyan tree, I have my Nikon Z8 with my 14 to 24 millimeter lens. I have it completely wide as it can go at 14 millimeters. I have my aperture set at f/16 because the sun is setting behind the banyan tree. I'm waiting patiently for the clouds to clear. That way that we get some sunbursts going through the banyan tree. Now, just my luck, I have some people walking through the composition. That way the viewer is able to see the scale of the banyan tree compared to a person. It's a fairly overcast day in the direction of where the sun's coming through. What I was hoping for, that the sunbeams come shooting through the banyan tree, but I don't think that's happening. We're gonna move on to the next shot. I'm set up at my second photo at Rainbows Falls Park. I'm at the top of the waterfall. I'm gonna use my Sony A1 with my 70-200 to zoom in on the waterfall, dumping water off of the cliff. I have my 64 ND filter on my lens. That way I'm able to drag the shutter. That way we'll be able to see some movement in the water. I have put the main subject, which is the waterfall, on the left third. That way that the flow of the water and the flow of the composition match. I've also, at the very top of the composition, included a red flower. That way the viewer's eye gets drawn to the red flower, and then they work their way down to the waterfall and to the right, which is the direction that the water's flowing, left to right. My aperture for this photo is f/11, ISO 100. Now, keeping the same composition, same setup, I'll switch to video mode. I'll get super slow motion to capture the water falling off of the cliff. I'll put my frame rate at 120p in 4K. You always want to make sure that your shutter speed is 2 times your frame rate. On this camera, I'm not exactly able to get to 240, but 250 will work. My aperture will be 2.8 to give that cinematic look. Bumped up my ISO to 1000. That way we are one stop overexposed. That gives me the option in post-production to play with the colors and the shadows more. While I'm on these locations, I always have my 70-200 ready to go in case I see some magical lifestyle moments. We made it to the main event. Now we're gonna take a photo of the waterfall. This is my third setup, taking a wide angle shot of the waterfall with my Z8 14 to 24 millimeter lens. I have my camera set up on the other side of the wall with the legs adjusted so it's completely balanced. This way we avoid any distracting foreground like the wall and the railing. Hey, Jean-Paul here. Sorry for interrupting the video. I forgot to go over my settings on site while photographing the waterfall with my Nikon Z8 14 to 24 millimeter. My aperture is f/11. I have my camera set to AEB 5 stops, and I have them separated by 1 stop each. That way I'm able to blend each photo in Photoshop to get the most out of the photo. All right, continue enjoying watching the video. Now I have my Sony A1 set up to get some detailed photos of the waterfall. I put a ND8 filter on the front of my lens to show some blur in the water. It's a little too dark for an ND64, so we'll go with the ND8. This is the composition that I built. I have the waterfall on the left side of the rule of thirds. Once again, because the water is flowing from left to right, the composition will flow left to right. I'm dragging the shutter to show some motion in the water. In order to capture slow motion video with my 70-200, I had to step all the way back on the second path to capture the waterfall due to the crop when capturing slow motion. Well, that's a wrap at Rainbows Falls Park, capturing the banyan tree and waterfall. I hope you found some helpful tips to help you in your landscape photography. If you have any tips and tricks of your own, please leave them in the comments. Keep the conversation going. And always remember, every photo counts.